Yes. So, the young seagull looked down desperately at the vast expanse of sea that stretched down beneath his ledge. He was hungry. His parents had flown away with his brothers and his little sister, leaving him alone on the rock without food. They could all fly, and he could not. He had tried several times to run forward to the brink of the ledge and flap his wings, but he came back afraid. He was certain that his wings would not support him. His parents had tried him countless times to make him fly, but for the life of him, he would not make an attempt. He felt that he was going to starve to death on this ledge. Even his mother was not looking at him. She was tearing a piece of fish with her beak. The sight of food maddened him. He cried at her, but she screamed back mockingly. Suddenly, he felt the joy, seeing his mother approaching him with food. But she halted, keeping the fish just out of his reach. Maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish, but his mother flew upward and he started falling. Started falling. A monstrous terror, seized him. Oh my God, now what's going to, I'm going to die. But the next moment he realized that he was flying. He was born to fly and he made his first flight. Flaherty was a keen observer of sea life and he believed that a man has a lot to learn from nature. He has given a human touch to the seagull's plight so that the reader is reminded of the nervousness he too might experience before doing something new. Importance of independence, self-belief, confidence, and the need for motivation to attain goals. Necessity is always the mother of invention, but it sometimes needs that initial spark from outside. Everyone needs to be independent, even while staying involved with family life. But the joy of independence is not meant for cowards. The parents of the seagull had tried to threaten him, shout at him, tell him some things that learn to fly, but it was all in of no use. But the mother knew the child. That one thing I can trick him is to increase his hunger, and eventually it will lure him out with food to his momentary horror, or his momentary horror which was feeling scared of, and then great joy. Okay. So I hope I was able to explain it to you. Now I'll come back to your book. The seagull, the young seagull was alone on his ledge. Two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath. And it was such a long way down, miles down. He felt certain that his wings would never support him, so he bent his head and ran back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. Even when each of his brothers and his little sisters, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings, and flew away, he failed to muster up courage to take that plunge which appeared to him so desperate. He was scared. His father and mother had called around him, calling him shrilly. Upbraiding him, threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away, but for the life of him he could not move. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come next to him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sisters, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. He had in fact seen his older brother catch his first herring. Herring is a fish. And devour it, standing on a rock, while his parents circled around him, raising a proud cackle. Yeah, they're happy, they're praising him. And all the morning, the whole family had walked about on the big plateau mid down the opposite cliff, taunting him with cowardice. The sun was ascending. Now the sun was ascending the sky, blazing on his ledge that faced the south. He was feeling the heat, he was feeling hot, sun is rising now. He had not eaten since the previous nightfall because of he was scared. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge, the side part of the ledge, and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing, he closed his eyes and then the other and pretended to be falling asleep. Still they took no notice of him. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. Only his mother was looking at him. She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau, where her white breast thrust forward now and again. She was eating something. That goes like that. She tore a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of her beak on the rock. The sight of the food maddened him. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to wet it. Don't you see birds when they eat, even if a parrot eats, it rubs its beak on the ledge or wood or whatever is there, they clean their beak too, so that they can eat again and it gets sharpened. Ga, 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 he cried, begging her to bring him some food. Gokala, she screamed back derisively. But he kept calling plaintively, and after a minute or so he uttered a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of the fish and was flying across to him with it. He was very happy. He leaned out, eagerly tapping the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when she was just opposite to him, she halted, her wings motionless. The piece of fish in her beak almost within reach of his beak. He waited a moment in surprise, wondering why she did not come nearer. And then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outwards and downwards into space. Then a monstrous terror seized him, and his heart stood still. He could hear nothing. But it only lasted a minute. The next moment, he felt his wings spread outwards. The wind rushed against his breast feathers, then under his stomach and against his wings. He could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. He was soaring gradually towards and outwards. He was no longer afraid. He just felt a bit dizzy. Then he clapped his wings and once. Then he flapped his wings once and he soared upwards. Ga 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 ga. His mother swooped past him, her wings making a loud noise. He answered her with another scream. Then his father flew over him screaming. He saw his two brothers and sisters flying around him, curveting and banking and soaring and diving. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly and commended himself to dive and soar and curve, shrieking shrilly. He was near the sea now, flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. He saw a vast green sea beneath him, with little ridges moving over it, and he turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. His parents and brothers and sisters had landed on this green flooring ahead him. They were beckoning to him, calling shrilly. He dropped his legs to stand on this green sea. His legs sank into it. He screamed with fright and attempted to rise, again flapping his wings. But he was tired and weak with hunger, and he could not rise, exhausted. By the strange exercise, his feet sank into the green sea, and his belly touched it, and he sank no further. He was floating on it. And around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. He made his first flight. Okay, so we'll keep it till here. I'll come back in the next video and I'll explain it to you. What is this all about? The great confidence each and everyone should have. I'll come back.